Ever wondered what your flight attendants are really talking about behind the galley curtain?
Welcome to Two Guys on a Plane, your go-to podcast for an insider look at flight attendant life.
We're your hosts, Rich and Drew, and we're here to tell you what really goes on at 35,000 feet.
So sit back, relax, we're ready for takeoff.
So one of the main reasons people become flight attendants or airline employees in general is, of course, the flight benefits. People are constantly asking us, oh, can I have a buddy pass? Or how are you flying somewhere for free? And there's that old saying, marry me, fly for free, or at least kind of, because you're on standby and there's fees attached sometimes. But that's what we want to talk about today. Is one of our favorite things to do in this job is to use all of our free time to fly as a non-rev. And Mom, if you're listening, a non-rev means a non-revenue passenger. So you fly as standby, you're a non-revenue for the airline. And if there's seats available at the end of boarding, you can have one of them. It's as simple as that. And it's one of our favorite things about being crew members and working for an airline. So today we're going to get into that a little bit.
So before we get started with today's episode, Rich, how has flying been recently?
Flying's been good. Can't really complain. I feel like we're kind of around the holiday season. People are starting to get a little more tense and crazy, but for the most part, knock on wood, nobody's done anything nuts yet. So right. I think we're hanging in there, but talk to me in a couple weeks when the holiday season is over, and I will probably be singing a different tune.
I don't think I'm ready for holiday travel yet, but
how's it been going for you?
Honestly, not bad. Flying in and of itself is fine. Kind of fresh off vacation, just back to flying. So, nothing really crazy to report. You know what's funny though? Do you remember we were on vacation recently and we had this family get together? Do you remember my uncle talking about his flight benefit, or like not flight benefits, but his travel experiences?
No.
And he was griping about his son who got first class on the way to wherever we were going. And he's like, I've been flying for years and years and years and years, and I don't understand why I don't have any status. And we were like, okay, but are you a loyal traveler? And he was like, well, no, I just buy the cheapest ticket on whoever. And we were like, it was just really funny to us that he has been flying for like business and things and like could not figure out how his son,
like loyalty programs work.
Upgrades. So we were leaving the family vacation and his son got a first class seat back to where they live. And he was like, he checked in and got a standby ticket, basically. Do you remember this? He was
mad. Have a seat assignment.
Right. He was like, I'm checked in, but I don't have a seat. And I was like, right, you're flying standby. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, no, like you'll have to go to a podium and hope they have a seat for you. And he was like, no, I bought a seat. And I was like, no, you bought a chance to have a seat on the airplane.
Pretty much.
Which we get for free. So this whole interaction was hilarious to us. So I thought that was a fitting story since we're talking about non-rev experiences today, because he's been flying for so many years and has no clout.
He really didn't seem to understand it though. He's like, but I paid good money for this ticket. I mean, sure, but you bought whatever discounted third-party cheap ticket you could find would get you, and now you're confused why you don't have a seat assignment. Like, families and stuff do this all the time. When they come on the plane, they're like, oh, I have, whatever, this situation, and it's like, well, did you pay to have your seats together? Like, people don't realize that's not a guarantee anymore.
Correct. It's not. And those things, you have to make the seat selection. You have to pay the extra $5 to make sure that your family's all together. And you're a family of 12. No, you're not all sitting together. We can only get 3 of you together. Like, calm down, everyone. Take a deep breath. It's really fine. But the fact that he was flying standby and was just unaware that he had bought that type of ticket and then was so frustrated. We met him at the airport and he was running around trying to figure out what to do about it. And we were like, just go to the gate and ask them if they have a seat for you.
That's definitely like a big takeaway. If anyone is listening and not airline, read the fine print. Know what you're getting into. Know what you're signing up for. There's baggage fees. There's seat fees. There's fees for everything these days. And as an airline employee, it's like, we know it sucks. We totally get it. But you really have to know the fine print before you get yourself into a mess and that you can't get yourself out of.
Yeah.
But that's a good segue to get into our episode today. We wanted to talk about some of our favorite non-rev adventures because, at the end of the day, the reason why we all do this job is because we want to go places. We want to travel the world for free, and we couldn't do that without these amazing flight benefits.
They are the best fringe benefit that we have. So, thinking back, tell me about one of your favorite experiences.
One of my favorite, where do you begin? Like, I love it because there's so many different types of adventures. Like you've got the adventures that you plan for, right? Like you've got somebody's wedding coming up and you have to figure out how to get there. You've got, a birthday party or something that you're going to and you have to figure that out. Yeah. So one of my favorite like adventures, non-revving early on was it was one of the first times I flew in another airline that wasn't mine. And it was my birthday and my friend Clint and I wanted to go to San Juan to celebrate. I don't know if you and I had met yet. I think we had, right?
Yeah.
So we were together, but Clint and I went solo on this like San Juan vacation just for a couple days. We ended up flying JetBlue out of DC, and we walked on. We're like, "Hey, we're crew, whatever." We get on the plane. The flight attendants couldn't have been nicer. We got our own row in the last row. So of course the flight attendants probably wanted that row for themselves, but non-revs ended up there. It is what it is. But they couldn't have been nicer to us. I mean, they kept like bringing us drinks, and I remember they were doing the beverage service, and they came over and they were like, "It's your birthday, like cocktails on us." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, don't mind if I do." She was like, "Do you want to get like birthday drunk?" And I was like, I don't know what that means.
Is there another option?
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what your definition of that means, but sure, that sounds fun. So a few vodka cranberries later, Clint and I are both in the last row just cackling, having the time of our lives. And I go into the back alley and waiting for the bathroom, and I'm talking to the crew, and we're all having fun, just laughing. And I was like new still. So I was like, I'm not a good like non-rev. I don't like sitting on this long of a flight and doing nothing. So like, can I pick up trash for somebody? And they were like, "Oh my God, you're being ridiculous. No, it's your birthday. You're on a flight. Like, enjoy yourself." And I was like, no, I want to pick up trash. And one of the flight attendants goes, "Well, you can, I guess." And she's clearly kind of hesitant. And then she goes, "But you're not doing it out of uniform." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?" She gives me her apron. I put on her apron and her scarf. And I go through the cabin.
Oh, that's funny.
A little bit buzzed. A little bit buzzed, and I go walking through the cabin and I picked up trash. There's actually photo evidence of this that's floating around on the internet somewhere. And yeah, it was one of those flights where we landed and they gave us like a goodie bag of stuff to go. We had the time of our lives,
Yeah.
And then we had an amazing time in Puerto Rico, but it was like, this is one of those moments where I'm like, I really fucking love this job.
Yeah.
Like, it just crew take care of each other. You have fun. They were having fun. We were having fun. It was a great experience and an amazing trip overall.
That is one of my favorite parts. Mom, if you don't know, we have a lot of reciprocal agreements, so we can fly on like most domestic carriers as if it was our own. As long as there's seats, we can usually fly on them. So it's really helpful for domestic travel, truthfully. And I just love it because it doesn't matter what airline you get on. It doesn't matter what company you actually work for. The moment you like step on and say, "Good morning, I'm a non-rev, I'll be in seat," they treat you as if you work for their own airline. We are all flight attendants. We all share wings. They just have a different name printed on them, but like you wouldn't know that. Like riding an airplane, everyone treats you so well.
Yeah.
Just like you're one of their own, always.
The community vibes are truly one of the best parts of the job.
For sure. That's the second favorite fringe benefit.
Yeah. Absolutely. What about you? Crazy non-rev story or favorite non-rev moment?
I've had a lot of them over the years. We talked in a different episode about the time I flew to Japan for lunch. I think another one of my favorite travel days was when I was really, really new to flying. I was probably in my first year as a flight attendant. I was based in DC, and I woke up one day and was like, I just needed an adventure. Where do I want to go? So I like walked into the airport and was like, looked at the departure board and was like, oh, Boston leaves in like 35 minutes. So I've never been. I've always wanted to go. They have great public transportation. So like, I'm just going to roll to Boston today and just go spend the day exploring.
My hometown.
His hometown. So yeah, I walked over to the gate. I did like no listing, checking or anything like that. I just walked up to the gate and was like, "Can you put me on standby?" And the gate agent was like, "For sure." So they did. I didn't know if it had seats or anything like that. It turns out it did. And I got on. It's like mid-spring. So I'm in like a light shirt, light pants,
And we all know mid-spring in Boston could mean dead of winter.
Well, it was dead of winter when we got there. So I go to Boston. I get there. I'm not dressed for it. It's dead of winter. I legitimately believe it's snowing when we get there. I walk out the airport doors. I was like, no, I made a mistake. I walk right back in, and I like looked at the way I was dressed, and I was like, okay, I need a warm climate. So I went back to the departure board, and there was a flight to Vegas leaving in like 20, 35 minutes. So I hiked myself on over to the gate and was like, can you list me? And they were like, yeah. So they did. And then I flew to Vegas. So I started this adventure at like 6 a.m. I ended up landing in Vegas at like 9 a.m. because of time changes and all that. So yeah, I just spent the day in Vegas and then red-eyed back to DC to go to work the next day.
That's amazing. And this is the funny part about this job too, is that, you know, you had two choices when you landed in Boston. Go buy a sweatshirt or a coat to be ready for the weather.
Dawn on me though.
Or hop on a plane to your nearest or furthest, maybe, warm destination. Like, that's just the crazy decisions that we make in those moments as people with flight benefits. Because you're like, you know what? Let me just pivot and turn this into a whole different trip.
It was a whole different vibe. It was a whole different trip. It was my first time in Vegas. My brother still thinks that I try to pass off like my experience at Paris in Vegas as a trip to Paris. And I'm like, nah, bro. Like yes, I went to Paris, the hotel, but he thinks because I say I went to Paris that I'm trying to pass off this casino.
No, I've been to the casino and the real city. I've done it all.
Well, I have now. At the time, I hadn't. I have now. But he still to this day swears that I try to pass off the casino as a real Parisian visit.
I mean, for some people, maybe it is.
Might be the closest thing they've ever gotten.
I don't judge. Have fun.
That's my favorite part. And that's one of the pieces of advice I always give new hires. Like, go to a departure board, like look it up and just use your flight benefits. Like, don't worry about flight loads. Just go look at a departure board and be like, this city sounds fun, and just go ride it out.
It's such a fun game to play. I did that once in Amsterdam. I had this... when I started flying, I made this like commitment to myself that I was going to go somewhere new, different country for my birthday every single year, which eventually became our anniversary trip. We go somewhere new every year. But before you, it was my birthday. And I made this whole plan to go to Dublin. And for me, as last minute as I can do is like a week before. So I planned this whole trip to Dublin, and day of, there's no seats. No one's gonna get on that flight. And so we totally pivoted, changed our minds, canceled the Airbnb in Dublin, booked a hostel in Amsterdam, and this is like at noon. And so we're like, my friend's coming up from DC, I'm in Philly, we're like figuring this out, we're like getting on the plane, we're like, I don't know where we're gonna stay, I think this hostel might have spaces, we can go figure it out when we land, like just wild adventures. And that's like one of the best things to do with this job, is to just do those chaotic trips like that. Just make it so fun and last minute, and don't even think about what you're doing.
They're my favorite. I truly feel like the stress of non-revving is more fun than like getting somewhere. Playing that game, figuring out where to go, and then you finally like, I need to go to Minneapolis, but the direct is full. So like, how can I get there? I remember this one time I commuted from Nashville to Charlotte, and all the flights from Charlotte to Nashville were full. And so I ended up in, I took a flight from Charlotte to Las Vegas because there was a late, like 8 p.m. departure from Vegas back to Nashville that was wide open. And I was like, well, I can't get to Nashville. So if I can get to Vegas, I can get to Nashville. And all the other people that I knew that were commuting that day were like, we're still at the airport. And I was like, oh, I got home last night. And they were like, how did you do this? And I was like, I won. I played the non-rev game and I won. You all have fun.
I mean, it took you on a long journey, but you still beat them home.
Correct. Yeah. I still got home on the day I intended to get home on. Like, and I won. And that became one of my most favorite routes to get home from work.
Right.
Like, if all else fails, I can go to Vegas to get home. It's my favorite.
A win is a win is a win.
A win is a win.
I mean,
a win is a win.
Yeah, you nailed that one. You just mentioned Minneapolis, and we were going to an Adele concert there. Oh, yeah. And that was another one of those times where we had like a plan. We thought we had it all figured out, and we woke up that morning. We were going to take one airline, and it was full all of a sudden. We were like, okay, let's use StaffTraveler. Let's pivot. Let's figure this out. And we look, and there's like, I think a Delta flight that leaves in less than an hour. We're home. We're packed. We're home. Not showered. Not ready. Not anything. And we were like, well, it's either we leave immediately
right now,
as is, in pajamas with our bags, and get to this flight, or we don't make the concert. So we got into an Uber, somehow got to the gate like maybe 15 minutes before departure. We went up to the most wonderful Delta gate agent I've ever met, and we were like, hey, we're trying to non-rev on this flight, and any chance we can get on? And she couldn't have been nicer. And we got on, got a row to ourselves. The crew treated us like royalty, and we were just so lucky. And it wouldn't have worked out if we hadn't like looked at StaffTraveler and figured it out. And for those of you that don't know about StaffTraveler, it is the #1 non-rev app. It is a absolute must. If you have airline flight benefits, get it, because you can check airline loads on every airline. You can see connections, you can see all sorts of stuff. And the way it works is you get credits. You can earn credits by filling out loads for your airline, and then you can also put in load requests for other airlines as well. So you put in a request, someone at that airline with the access to loads puts in the information, you get your answer, and voila. It's a game changer.
Oh, a life changer. The routing of it all, because like, you don't even know that airlines fly places sometimes. Like,
right.
That part has saved us on so many of our non-rev adventures.
Like, what? Alaska flies here? Like, I had no idea. Right. So what about us? What are some of your favorite non-rev adventures that you and I have been on?
I remember my favorite of all times. We were engaged. You had vacation and I didn't. And so we were trying to figure out what to do. And I had like 2 days off or 3 days off or something like that in your vacation. And you were like, I can't just waste my vacation. I can't just sit here. And I was like, okay, well, what do you want to do? And you were like, I want to go to Paris for breakfast. And I was like, well, then let's go.
Right.
So Paris happened to have seats, and we listed, and weren't we trying to buy a house too? Like, we left all kinds of things just up in the air.
We did. We were trying to buy a house. We were getting married. We had like, could have been using our time for something probably
so much more
adult.
wisely, but we decided to go to Paris. We literally, I mean, it was basically the speed of like one of their overnights over there, but the crew that we went in with is the crew that we came out with. So we flew over, we stopped at a cafe, we had a croissant and coffee, and then we stopped at this magic little cafe or pub for a croque monsieur for dinner, and then we ran home. It was perfect.
Yep. Yeah, stayed one night, had like a backpack and a duffel bag, just wandered the streets, and it was like January, wandered the streets of chilly Paris in the winter, and it was as magical as you would think it was. We were tired as hell. I think we were like falling asleep at dinner, but it was so worth it.
Cocoa under the Eiffel Tower for one. It was great.
Yeah.
What about you? What is one of your favorite of our travel experiences?
One of my favorites is probably our trip to Alaska. We did a partnership with perks.com, and they're amazing. They have incredible like deals on cruises, hotels, all that sort of stuff. Really nice people that run that company, so check them out. But yeah, we did a deal with them, partnership, and they sent us on an Alaskan cruise, and it was really cool because we had both been to almost all 50 states by this point, and we thought, how cool would it be if we could go to Alaska together for our 50th? The problem was I still had like four more before that, but I was like, this is like in 9 months, I got plenty of time. I'm going to bounce around the country over the next few months and get those 4 states done. Cut to maybe like 6 days before the cruise, I'd done none of it. And I was beating myself up, and I was like, how could you do this? You were supposed to go to your 50th state together, and you didn't. And I went on the non-rev adventure of a lifetime. I had North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and I don't remember what the other, it might have been, maybe it was Montana. I thought I'd had a layover there.
It was one of those West Coast, one
of those out there. And so I went on this just wild adventure. Wait, what did I say? Wyoming? Yeah, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming.
It had to have been Montana.
It must have been Montana. But anyway, so I go on this route. I have this whole like map planned out. I'm going to go from Philly, and then I'm going to go to like Chicago, and then Chicago to North Dakota. And then I'm going to bounce back North Dakota, back to Chicago, and then to South Dakota. Well, I get to North Dakota, see it, saw all of it.
Saw everything he needed to see.
Went into Fargo, saw what I needed to see. Tried to go back, but flights filled up, and they were all regional jets, so there was no jump seat or anything. There was no way for me to get back to Chicago or Dallas or any of these other places to get to South Dakota. So I was like, I'll rent a car. Well, this is right after COVID. There are no cars. Like, car rentals are impossible. They're completely sold out. So I'm in Fargo, and I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to stay here for the night. I have no choice. I'm sitting in a bar, and I'm like, just for funsies, let's see what an Uber from Fargo, North Dakota to Sioux Falls, South Dakota would cost me. And it was like $175. And I was like, I was going to spend that on a hotel, or I was going to spend that on renting a car. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to do it. Whatever. So I get into the Uber, and this is after like 5 canceled Ubers, because who the hell is thinking that their ride is going to now want to cross state borders? Like, it's probably sketchy. And I get in this car, and this guy goes, are you sure you want to go to Sioux Falls, South Dakota? And I was like, I'm absolutely sure. So I get into this 2-hour car ride. I fall asleep, which at this point I'm like, I'm going to get kidnapped. Something stupid is going to happen to me. I'm going to get left at the side of a road. And we stopped at a rest stop because it was 2 hours. Like, we had to go to the bathroom, we had to do whatever. And I like brought all my stuff with me. And he was like, oh my God, I get it, but I don't get it. And so come out, and he's like, are you ready? So we keep going. And I made it in one piece, but I went from there, then down to Dallas. And then I was going to go to Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And maybe it was only 3 states that I had left, I think, at this point. It must have been.
Maybe.
Because I was going to go to Jackson Hole, but the hotels, because it's Jackson Hole, were like $600 a night. And I was like, well, screw that. I can't do that. And then I was talking to you, and you were like, we'll just go into Denver and then go like across the border real quick into
Cheyenne.
Mm-hmm. And so I did that, and it was sketchy, and it was a wild experience. It involved a train that broke down, a bus that broke down, and another sketchy Uber ride. But I made it. And then I finally bounced up to Seattle, where I met you.
Which is where I met you, in Seattle. We spent the day in Seattle, and then on up to Anchorage for a magical, if you haven't been to Anchorage. Oh. Yep.
And then on up to Anchorage for an incredible few days there and an incredible cruise. So yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite, just insane.
It was planes, trains, and automobiles.
Insane non-rev.
I still can't believe you did it. But we completed 50 together, which is a feat in itself, because like so many people haven't even been to all 50.
Right.
Which we love that we can say that we did. I think the only other like really long adventure, we've been a lot of places together, but this last one that we went on was totally epic. I mean, what did we do?
Our most recent vacation, bouncing from
7
Egypt.
countries in 20 days, I think.
We ended up in Italy, Egypt,
Hungary, Slovakia.
I
said it.
You said it right.
Slovakia.
Romania, Bulgaria, Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Like, it was an insane journey over 3 weeks. And
we flew to all of them. Thank you, all these airlines, and StaffTraveler for helping us do all of that, because that was wild.
I know we keep talking about it, but StaffTraveler came in clutch. If you haven't downloaded already, it's free to download. Go to stafftraveler.com/2guys. They are fantastic, and you will not be disappointed. It's so helpful. Such a game changer.
Egypt, you guys, if you haven't yet, if it's not on your list, put it on your list.
Yeah.
Get a guide, go with the travel company. It was magical. You cannot tell somebody the feeling of like standing in these like 1,000-year-old monuments. Not standing around them, near them, million-year-old monuments.
Before we wrap up, any last minute, like any pieces of advice or tips that you have for people who are out there and don't non-rev enough and they're scared to do it? Like what do you have to say?
Pack an extra pair of underwear in your backpack and go do it. I mean, it is,
true.
there's no way to like get over the fear of it other than doing it. You just have to go do it, and you have to be willing to sleep in an airport. I have slept in a Minneapolis bathroom because I found a couch there once and it was quiet. It's weird. I
slept in a bathroom on a couch?
in the Minneapolis airport.
I have questions.
I also had them, but that's where I found a free couch. So that's where I slept. You just have to do it. Don't be afraid. There are a lot of tools out there. We've mentioned StaffTraveler a lot, but use your tools and go.
My biggest tip would be just add buffer days to whatever you're doing, because you really just never know. Even if you have confirmed seats, you never know if a flight's going to take off as it's supposed to. So add buffer days. It takes so much stress out of it for you, because you're like, if we make it, we make it. If we don't, we don't. Just go with it. Go with the flow. Have fun.
Enjoy life. That's what the travel benefits are for.
Well, before we wrap up today's episode, I think we should do another round of Galley Gossip.
Galley Gossip.
Galley Gossip is where we read your stories that you send to us at twoguysonaplane.com/podcast about crazy passenger stories or wild times that you had on a flight of yours. Whether you're a flight attendant, pilot, crew member, or just a passenger, you can send us your stories at twoguysonaplane.com/podcast, and we'll read them out loud on our podcast.
I hope this is better than the mouse story, though, because I still have follow-up questions from that story.
About the mouse in the pocket?
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, today's story is from Eli in the UK. He was flying a flight from London to Tampa. Totally typical long-haul flight. I was alone in the galley mid-flight when a passenger came in to tell me to alert the captain to something immediately, as something is coming out of the engine, and it was very disturbing. Trying to remember my training, I'm immediately asking her for as much detail and to show me, what she's looking at. And I'm all nervous, and I'm going, and we look out of the window at 4L and see nothing. So I ask her to explain again, what is it exactly that you see, whilst also trying to keep calm in this moment. She then explains it was air colored coming out of the back of the engine and looked like a cloud. Oh, that would be the jet stream, madam. And then proceeded to explain to her in layman's terms how an airplane works. What a waste of my adrenaline and my time. That's an amazing story, Eli. Thank you so much for sharing.
God, Eli, you're so much more professional than I am, because as soon as she came back there and told me she saw something, I would have been like, is it a colonial woman on the wing?
Is she churning butter? I mean, it's one of those things where you have to find the balance between, okay, I have patience for people and their questions because they don't know how airplanes work and how aviation works, but also, what did you think that was coming out of the back of the engine?
I don't know.
Was it red? Then maybe we can talk.
Correct.
But cloud colored?
Oh my God, that makes me think of this one time I was working a red eye, and this passenger came to the back of the galley, all sleepy eyed, and was like, have we landed yet? And we were like, there are signs. This question is totally unwarranted. There are signs to answer your question. And no, sir, please go back to sleep. This would be very helpful right now.
You just never know what passengers are going to say or do.
You have no idea. Thank God we have non-rev benefits to make up for it.
Well, that's all we have for today, but thank you so much for tuning in and supporting our show. We could not do this without you. For those of you on Patreon, we want to give a special shout out and thank you for supporting our show. If you'd like more behind the scenes content and other fun stuff, go to patreon.com/2guysonaplane to join us and support our show. Once again, we could not do this without your support. So thank you for everyone. If you like this episode, go ahead and share it with a friend and make sure to subscribe and follow.
Join us next time for more humor, heart, and stories from our beverage cart.
This episode was brought to you by StaffTraveler, the #1 non-rev app. If you travel on standby tickets and are looking to make your journey easy and stress-free, check out the StaffTraveler app in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Visit stafftraveler.com/2guys to learn more and sign up.
An Ironic Media production. Visit us at ironickmedia.com.